Hi, everybody. Welcome to FDI Takeover. I am your host, Alex Smith, and today we have a very special guest that's on our show that I will introduce in a minute. For everybody who is new watching this show for the very first time, welcome to the FDI Takeover podcast. FDI means fucking doing it. It is about living your truth, bossing out, getting out of your own way, healing from your trauma in the process to create your dream life. And so we love to invite people on this show who have so much value to bring around these different topics of overcoming insecurities, finding body consciousness. So we have a very special guest today that I want to introduce. She is a dear friend of mine, and she is a professional dancer. She is a Pilates teacher. She owns her own Pilates studio in Redwood City, California. And I'm so happy to welcome Elisa Scannell. Welcome to the podcast. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you so much for having me, Alex. This is definitely going to be so much fun and so excited to do this with you.
I know. I'm so pumped too. So tell the audience just a little bit about yourself, just in general, where you're from and what you do for work.
Yeah, so I'm from California, born in Berkeley, raised in San Mateo.
Does that make you like a Bay Area chick?
I'm definitely very Bay Area.
Okay, all right. Because, you know, we're on the East Coast over here. We got that rivalry going. But
yeah.
Okay, tell me more.
Yeah, so very Northern California. Grew up in a family of 5, so 1 of 5 children.
Wow.
That definitely, I would say, like shaped me a lot.
Yeah.
So just grew up with a lot of energy, a lot of chaos.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm just like very close with my family. And I actually opened my Pilates studio with my 2 sisters.
Amazing.
So yeah, just always with my family. And so, yeah. But,
what about your studio? So what's the name?
Yeah.
What kind of style do you do there?
Yeah, so my studio is called Heartcore. Like,
well, how did you?
Core.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so like from the Heartcore.
Yeah.
Is that how you came up with it?
So actually, the original name of my business was High Vi, short for high vibration. But after about a year, High Vi looked like HIV, so we ditched the name.
Okay, yeah, that's like from a marketing standpoint, I can see that being
bad.
like pretty conflicting.
It wasn't. The people definitely were like, "What is this place? You know, what's going on here?" So my younger sister, my very talented younger sister, Chrissy, she was the designer for our business. So after about a year, she was scared to tell me, but she was like, "Let's name the studio Heartcore." Then after she told me, I was like, "Let's change it today." She's like, "No, like, Elisa, we gotta wait. Like, I gotta design some things, find out the logo and the font." And so, yeah, we changed it. And ever since we changed it to Heartcore, then we really took off.
That's
so it was the perfect name.
How long has your business been around for?
This June will be 10 years.
That's amazing. That's a huge celebration.
Yes.
And you're an entrepreneur. It's super successful. It's so exciting for you to share all of your achievements with everyone. A lot of people who watch this podcast are entrepreneurs who are really looking to make their way with their passion and their purpose and their product and their service. So I'm so excited to talk more about that. Talk to me a little bit more about your passion. So Elisa and I connected through some friends, you know, not too long ago. We actually did a quantum healing regression workshop retreat where we really bonded. And then I started following her on Instagram, and we got to love Instagram for the moments where I see, oh my gosh, this woman is an incredible dancer. Talk to me about your passion for dance.
Yes. So I grew up dancing when I was maybe like 5 to 20. I danced flamenco, which is a type of dance from Spain.
Yes.
And
beautiful.
Thank you. I never honestly like energetically resonated with that type of dance. Like me and all my sisters, we all danced together. So I remember going to dance class and me telling my mom, like, I don't want to go to flamenco class. My mom was like, no, you're going. So I went regardless. And I mean, I'm very grateful my mom forced me. I mean, she didn't force me, but a little bit. So I'm glad because I have that in my body of just like a foundation of dance. So I'm very grateful for that. Mm-hmm. So I stopped dancing for 10 years. And then I refound a type of dance from an Instagram video, actually. My sister, Chrissy, the one who named it Hardcore, she was like, Elisa, I think that you're going to like this type of dance. And so she showed me a video of a girl doing a type of dance from Jamaica called dance hall. And right when I saw this girl dancing, I was like, that is what I have to do. I have to do that type of dance. I want to learn how to do that type of movement with my body. So after my first dance class with this woman in San Francisco, I she was like, all right, I'm going to Jamaica in a month. Does anyone want to go with me? And I was like, I have to go. So after a couple dance classes, I went to Jamaica in Kingston. And
So fun.
yeah, it was definitely really uncomfortable because I didn't know what to do with my body. I was like, you're watching the best dancers of your whole entire life on the street dancing in Kingston. But regardless, my heart was there. My heart was fully there, and I was so inspired by how these dancers and artists move their body. So I left Jamaica, I want to say January of 2020, and then COVID hit. And then when COVID hit, there was different online classes with different Jamaican dancers. So I was literally in my room for like years just practicing.
That's incredible. Yeah. I love to hear that. I want to know so much more. So being from South Florida, Miami, I have heard the term dance hall before, and you hear it a lot, like dance hall queens. And so what does that actually mean? Or what have you found that to mean?
Yeah. So dance hall queen is all about, as a woman, being so proud of your body, being so just proud of how your body moves, feeling super, super sexy, not giving a fuck what anyone has got to say about it or you, and just moving in a way that you are excited about. And so, like, honestly, the dance hall queens that I've met in Jamaica, those are some of the most, like, those women inspire me so much. I was watching this dance hall queen competition yesterday on Instagram, and I was just seeing like these girls, they jump in the air, they drop in the splits, then they start twerking, and then
it's
they go
incredible.
Yes.
When you see that live, it's got to get you going like crazy.
You're just screaming.
Right?
You're just like, you're like screaming.
I love that.
Yeah, it's honestly the coolest thing I've ever seen with movement. Honestly, my whole life. So dance hall queens, their whole attitude, I feel like every woman can like adopt this attitude of like, is like, like me bad, like me pussy tight, like,
yes.
Like, yeah, that's just like what they're all about. Like just really claiming.
I love that.
Yeah, really claiming their sexual energy. And like in general.
Go, baby.
Yes. And Jamaican women are like really fierce. They've really taught me a lot about how to just really stand up for yourself. And if someone's talking shit to you, like they shut that down so fast. So just the Jamaican dance hall queens in general, like I look up to them so much. And I really hope that I can keep building like to that level of like fierceness in my life. And eventually I would want to, just like be able to like teach other women how to like feel that love for themselves and that like not giving a fuck.
Yeah, that is such a powerful feeling because so many of us every single day are calculating how we're presenting ourselves to the world in all of these different settings, right? From like work to our relationship to whatever image that we're even portraying online from brand social media. And everyone is really worried. Everyone is worried about like, is this going to get likes or is this going to do this? So I love this reclaiming of not giving a fuck, using your body in a way to express yourself with fierceness and that becoming who you are. So it's almost like you practice that, you become that.
Yes, absolutely.
That is so incredible. And so are there places down here in South Florida that you practice?
Like dancing?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's two places I definitely have in my heart so hard. So one studio is called B305. It's in Doral.
Nice.
All the girls are from Venezuela and Colombia, and it's like a dancing twerk studio, and the owner Yelus is absolutely incredible. And I was there when I was living in Miami last year. I would be at the studio at B305 literally every single day, and it was just so fun as women to come together and to just dance and be sexy. And so I really love that studio. And then another dancer, her name is on Instagram, her name is Kimbo Spice, and she's another unbelievable dancer. And she has a couple dance classes in Miami. No, actually in Hialeah, at Next Level Studio, and she is such a supportive, loving teacher, and just both of these places and both of these teachers are just like really all about women just feeling so empowered to move your body in whatever way you want to, because there's no rules with dance. There's nothing like you have to do this. It's like express yourself. So those are two places I really absolutely love in Miami area.
That sounds good. You're inspiring me to, I think a lot of us, it's probably a natural instinct for us to want to dance, to move our body, right? We all love music. We hear rhythm. We want to move our body in a certain way, but I think a lot of people have insecurities around that. can. They don't necessarily know how to move their hips. They don't know how to put their hands on the floor, ass up. I mean, there's actually like a real technique to that, which I really want to know.
Yeah.
But like, what would you say for someone that's new like me, or someone who's watching the show that's thinking about doing a dance class but not sure? Like, what tips would you give?
I love that question. So here's the thing. When I did not know how to do any of this kind of dance, like 4 years ago, I didn't know anything. And I'd be going in dance classes in San Francisco a little bit before COVID,
right,
and tour classes. And I had no idea what I was doing, but I was like, okay, I have to do this because I really love this and I want to be good at this one day. Honestly, just go for it, because you never know until you try. Like, you never know. Like, when you go to the dance class, you might meet like an amazing new friend, where then it's like you just never know what could happen until you actually do it, And honestly, when you go to classes, no one in class is like, whoa, like they're not good. Like, that's not the vibe. Like, I feel like when you go to a dance class, other dancers, we've all been there, where it's like we've been new. And I feel like any place I've been to, I've never been in a class, honestly, ever. And I've taken probably 100 dance classes. No one's been like not supportive,
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. And it seems like the community that's just around this type of dance is so fun and so free and just so women empowered. I love it. I love it so much. And it's such a good segue into our topic today. So today we're going to be talking about overcoming insecurities, which we all have. And it is a journey for us to tackle each one of the different insecurities that come up. I mentioned this on the last podcast episode. I recently said fuck you to corporate world and went all in on my own business, which I'm really excited about. So now I'm doing consulting, revenue consulting for early stage tech startups. It's my dream work. I love it. I have a very specific skill set and it's a mystery to many, and I'm putting it into this amazing business model and the business is taking off. I'm so grateful. But in this process, humbly, that was my plug. Now let's talk about the real, not glamorous, right? Behind the scenes, I feel like every single day I'm playing whack-a-mole with like a different insecurity that pops up that I never knew that I had throughout this journey of entrepreneurship and really building my own empire. And also just deciding, right, like what my purpose was going to be. I would love to hear from you a little bit more about when did you know that dance and what you're doing with your business was that's your purpose? Like, was it like a defining moment? Was it a combination of a couple of moments? Like, what was it for you?
Honestly, I think that specifically with my business, I feel like finally after 9.5 years, I'm really seeing after 9.5 years how this is my purpose with hardcore my business. And so I think for so many years, even like a year in my business, 2 years and 3 years in, I was like, what am I doing? I didn't actually start making money with my studio till 4 years in. I was living at my parents' place, like sharing a room with my sisters at one point.
Yes.
And so I'd always be questioning myself. Even when we were really successful and we had 3 studios at a certain point, I was honestly at my like lowest point when we had 3 studios, because everything takes time to build.
It's a lot to manage too.
It is.
It's a business that runs 7 days a week, right?
Yeah, 7 days a week. Yeah.
The brick and mortar location, right?
Yeah.
You probably have like laundry, like the towel, like anything breaks down, you have to fix it.
Exactly.
It's always running.
Exactly. Toilet needs toilet paper. You know what I mean? Like any little detail. Exactly. So just, but when did I know it's my purpose? I feel like after COVID, like post-COVID, and I'm at my studio in Redwood City. I'm seeing all the people, different people tell me like this, this one woman told me I have postpartum depression. This helped me heal the postpartum anxiety and depression I had. And so it's like meeting different people that come to my studio and just seeing how much it lights up their lives. I'm like, wow, it's incredible to see. So I feel like it took 9.5 years, honestly, for me to really see that. And maybe it was there before, but I didn't see it.
Sometimes we don't see what our purpose is right away, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes we know off of a feeling what we need to do, and we are literally living on a prayer.
Yeah.
And waiting for it to make sense, right?
Yeah.
For me, I typically always try to find the lesson or find the this or be intuitive. And sometimes when we're so tactical in our business, it's so hard to tap into that intuitive nature. But I'm sure that movement and breath and dance really helps you be intuitive with your business, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yes, absolutely. I mean, dance has been like changed my life. Starting to do it about 4 years ago. It's like just a different type of like confidence you tap into and a connection with yourself that I feel like sometimes don't have when you're maybe working out. Maybe for some people, yes, but for me, it wasn't like that with working out. But for dance, it's just another type of like something to feel really proud of, to know like where I started and to like where I am now, and I'm really excited about where I'm going with it. But yeah, I'm starting to teach dance classes.
Yes.
My dance class is called Bad Gal.
Ooh, tell us more about that.
Yeah,
Sounds fun.
Yeah, so it's pretty much a waistline technique class, and so thank you, Alex.
You gotta show us how to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's pretty much just like, shaking your ass, like learning whining. That's like circling your hips, doing different twerk techniques, taking it all to the floor, doing TikTok. So just really
Take it to the floor.
Yeah, yes, and making just a really strong, beautiful connection with your hips.
I love that.
Yeah, so that's what my class is about. I'm going to start it again in about 2 weeks. So
Amazing. It all sounds so inspirational, and I'm so happy that you came on the show to talk about this, because it's such an avenue that might not be traveled by so many people, and hoping that this like brings some inspiration to people to give it a try. I know I'm really pumped to try one of your classes, and I want to learn how to move my body in a super sexy way. It sounds so fun.
Absolutely. My tagline for it is move dangerously.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm so intrigued. I'm so in on taking one of your classes. Okay, so we're both Italian. We love that.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. And we have our little possible here, and we wanted to surface some of the insecurities that we think come up for a lot of us. And we want to talk about some of these topics and break down some of those barriers. And collectively, let's put our experiences and our heart together to talk about how we can overcome these things, because it is about moving these things out of the way so we can live our life in a full expression, whatever that means to you. So, Elisa, if you don't mind doing the honors, go ahead, stick your hand in the possible and pull something out and tell us what the topic is, and we'll chat about it.
Okay, it is a career insecurity, uncertain about professional abilities or job.
Yes. Okay. I think there's a lot of this happening right now. I think people in general, Elisa, are not okay in a lot of different areas, especially when people are thinking about job security. I mean, I think last year was the record of the most layoffs that have been done in tech. I mean, obviously you're in California. You've probably seen the wave of the people in this kind of like different transition of corporate versus entrepreneur. But, what do you think about when you think about career insecurities?
Yeah, I think for career insecurities, when people are doing work, they're doing work, but then they hate it, and their heart is telling them to do something else.
It's heavy. We've all been there.
Yes, because let's say you're making great money with a job that you're doing, and you want to do something else, but you don't have that financial stability with something that you're like really dreaming to do. So I can imagine like that is a really hard thing for people. Like they want to feel lit up every day, but then they have to like pay the bills. And they're doing that most hours of the week. So then when they're then free, it's like you're just exhausted. Because if you're working, doing all of that at a job that you don't like, and then you come home, you're tired, and you're just like, what am I doing? So I can imagine like that's a big thing for a lot of people.
And we talked about this a little bit, but a lot of people are doing what they need to do to get by, right?
Exactly.
I mean, that is what it is. We all have to do what we have to do. And depending on your circumstance or cards that you're dealt, having a career towards something that you want to do involves a really long, hard road. So it doesn't happen right away. So when things don't happen right away, especially in a culture of instant gratification, we tend to have a hard time feeling confident that the path that we're on is going to be the thing that gives us what we're looking for. But the reality of the situation, and I'm really sorry to break it to everybody who's watching, there is no job security anywhere right now. And you really have to think outside the box and pave way and really dig into your purpose, dig into your passions, because you can make a lot of money in a lot of different ways. We don't have to rely on corporate. You don't have to rely on the man, and no one is stuck. And that is one of the beautiful things about living in America, and why so many immigrants and so many people come here to change course of their life. And so I still want to encourage people that while these things come up, the possibilities here are endless. There's so much opportunity everywhere you look. And a lot of that comes back to mindset, right? You have to be able to believe that the path that you're on is a stepping stone to where it is that God's plan is really going for you.
Absolutely.
And I don't know about you. I'm a really big God's plan. I'm a spiritual person. I wouldn't necessarily call myself a religious person, but I believe in God. I believe in the power of prayer. I believe in trusting God. And I don't know. Are you spiritual or anything like that? Okay. Do you feel like you have like a relationship with God? Like, have you leaned on that? Like when it comes to like career and kind of building your business along the way?
Yes, definitely. I feel like my initial idea to open up my studio did definitely come from God. It was a message, whether, it's from spirit, where I knew like I have to do this, even though like I literally had no idea what I was doing for years. I just knew like this is my path. Because I had that initial like intuition from spirit, from God.
That's incredible. And it just makes me think too, just because you have such body consciousness and you're so in your body and moving your body, I'm wondering if there's like this really amazing connection between like body consciousness and spirituality. And like, we might be getting signs all day, every day.
Yeah.
But do we have the level of awareness to receive those things?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I feel like especially like as dancers, like we actually talk a lot about this, how it's like spirit is like working in your body as you're dancing, as you're moving. So yeah, like absolutely spirit is, it's like you're channeling. It's like you're channeling spirits move through you to like do the dance.
Very cool. I'm so interested. Okay, I'm going to pull one on.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got here. Okay, this is a very timely one for me. Fear of failure. A lot of people, a lot of us are battling with fear just in general, right? Fear is coming up in a lot of different areas, but fear of failure is definitely one of them. Worrying about succeeding in tasks or goals. Absolutely, right? As an entrepreneur, there's nothing more than I love to deliver for my clients. I want to over deliver for them. I want to show them and make a huge impact on whatever it is that they do. But there are times where I feel like I'm not doing enough with my business. And I think that we live in a day and age that really perpetuates that insecurity that pops up a lot. But for me, I think one of the biggest ways to combat this fear of failure is believing in yourself and trusting yourself. I have found that you are who you hang with. So if you are not hanging out with people who have a very strong mindset, and you're hanging out with people that are settling for the minimum, or they're also in a place where they're not being brave with their life, it is going to be very difficult for you to overcome your fear of failures. And I think a lot of that has to do with the environment that you're in, the people that you're choosing to spend time with, the things that you're listening to, what you're putting into your body. All of those things add up to either overcoming fear or perpetuating it in a certain way.
Absolutely.
What do you think about overcoming fear of failure, like even within dance?
Yeah, I think that you just got to do it, because failure to me is good. Because it's like, it means, okay, if this didn't work, then I need to try something else, I was learning the founder of KFC. Did you ever hear about his story?
No, tell me.
Yeah, so it's like,
I think I saw a documentary on it or something.
Yeah, I love that. So when he was in his 60s, he had the recipe for, his KFC chicken. Mm-hmm. And so he went to like thousands of different people to be like, hey, here's this recipe. Do you want it? And they were like, he got thousands of no's. And finally he's like, all right, I'm going to open up my own place. And so finally it's like, he could have stopped like right away, but he didn't. And I mean, look now at the like legacy, of that business, it's insanely successful. And it's like no matter what, you got to keep going. That's what I think. It's like failure. It's just like, all right, what's the next thing that's going to work? You know?
I recently, for my friend, had learned that there was a very similar story with Tom Petty, that his number one song that everyone knows, got re-released 20 years later. 20 years later, then it was number one off the charts, right? What? Could you imagine the process in between of thinking that, is this not for me? And is this never going to be successful? It's a long, hard road that takes, I think it all comes back to perseverance.
Absolutely. And like you were saying,
thing is.
like you were saying, like belief, like belief in yourself, and just tomorrow's a new day and we're going to get at it again tomorrow. Because
Exactly.
it's like, if you don't do the thing that you like really love, then like, what else are you going to be doing?
That is such a hard and heavy thing to bring to the audience then too. If you're not doing what you love, what else are you going to do?
Yeah.
And life is so short. We don't have a whole lot of time
Yeah.
to just be doing shit we don't want to do.
Exactly.
So people have to put themselves in these kind of situations and try new things. You know, if you've never done dance, try dance. If you've never done art, try art. If you've never made music, pick up a guitar. If, you know, these things help us activate the potential of possibilities.
Absolutely.
And so we don't have to feel like we're stuck in this cycle. I don't know about you, girl, but people right now, in my opinion, it is the new year, right? There's so much pressure when it comes to personal and professional improvement, right? Everyone's being slightly reflective. I also think that everyone kept themselves busy up until the holidays, and the energy in January has been insane. Like, a lot of people are stuck in a cycle that want to make a big change, but don't realize that it's going to take some serious work.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know if you've been feeling energy, but it's been crazy for me. But go ahead and pull one of these. Okay, next, insecurity.
Okay, this one.
Girl, look at those nails. I love that.
Okay, social anxiety, nervousness in social settings, fear, judgment.
Would you say are you an introvert or an extrovert?
I feel like I'm both.
Okay.
Yeah. But I definitely feel social anxiety every day. Every day I have social anxiety for sure.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think it is about that? Is it just like, is it crowds? Is it more one-on-one or?
Yeah, I think that sometimes I'm trying to find the right thing to say. And I feel like I definitely still struggle with people pleasing. I'm like, well, how are they feeling? What's going on? And so I just get in my head a lot. That's the problem. It's like, if I would just be external and be focusing on the other person versus like being in my head, I feel like I could like get through it, you know?
Yes, I completely understand it. And I also think that for me personally, as I've aged, the things that I used to do before where I was like, this is so much fun, now give me social anxiety, right? Like, I have no business going to like EDM crazy festivals. No offense to all you festival goers out there. And, you know, there's no halo over my head. I did just come back from Tulum and partied there for New Year's Eve. The party was good, but that place was like super weird. We're going to talk about that later. But I've realized that even just thinking about going to a festival with thousands and hundreds of other people, I mean, everybody's got their own thing, right? Whether it's like a cocktail party with people that they went to high school with that they low-key do not want to run into, or this huge festival, there is definitely a level of anxiety that shows up from, I think it all comes back to energy. And I think that as you become more aware of your energy and you become more aware of frequency, that you're able to pick up the different vibrations of people, places, and things. And I think it influences this experience that we have.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know you're really into energy and frequency stuff. Like, obviously, you know, being a dancer and movement, there's a lot that goes into the frequency and how you move your body, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So you tune into that. But I think that for people who are battling with social anxiety, I think that there are a couple different things that you can do. You know, you just have to honor your boundaries too. Like, I think one of the things that we do the most when we are thinking about, oh, we're not being social enough, we're not putting ourselves out there enough, right, is we shame ourselves. And we should not shame ourselves. If you happen to be a person that doesn't like to go and be crazy around 300 people, so be it. Own that, right? Coming back to like this level of fierceness, of owning who you are.
Yeah.
If you work better one-on-one, if you would work better in text, you know, honor what kind of person you are and how you like to communicate, and you will find your people. I wouldn't say don't break out of your comfort zone, but I do think that there's like a healthy balance between the two. Absolutely.
And I was going to add as well, like, let's say people out there have social anxiety because they feel like they're being judged by how they look or something like that. One time I heard from this, do you know what Landmark is? It's a type of, it's not self-help, but it's a type of organization that helps you kind of get out of your head.
Interesting.
Yeah, I had this teacher, she was saying, you know, everyone's scared about people that are judging them. But the thing is, like, everyone's thinking the same exact thing. Like, everyone's kind of scared of each other.
Right.
And I feel like that's true, you know? Like,
we share all of the same insecurities in a lot of different ways. And a lot of us have anxiety around the same things.
yeah.
And so, you know, again, going back to movement and exercise and breathing and meditation, all of these things help us regulate our nervous system in a way that allows us to be in these spaces to enjoy instead of being in fight or flight mode.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm going to stick my hand in the pasta bowl and see what's going on in here. Okay. Ooh, this one's interesting. Age insecurities. So concerns about getting older and the changes that come with it. So this is kind of an interesting one because I don't really feel a lot of insecurities around this particular one. I feel like I'm moving into my prime. I'm like thriving. I'm on my way. Obviously that might change when I, you know, get to a certain age. But this one for me, I can imagine brings up a lot for people, especially when you hit some of the, you know, numbers in life that people like to exaggerate, right? Over the hill when you get to 40, that doesn't help. You know, it's like you're still really young. So, yeah. I mean, what do you think about age insecurities? How do you interpret that?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, some days I'm like, I'm not worried about getting older. I'll be healthy. And then some days I'm just like, I get really nervous about it. But I think ultimately, if you do
you think it's because we're women and we have to kind of decide if we're going to have kids? We have this window. You know, we're in our second half of our 30s. Like, do you think that comes into play?
I feel like sometimes yes, sometimes no. Because then I feel like it goes back to like being like, all right, God has a plan for me that whenever I'm supposed to have a baby, then that's going to be the right time.
Trusting.
You know, trusting just like.
Because we don't want to be pushing that either.
Exactly. And I also don't want to be like 60 looking back at my time now being like, wow, I wish I wouldn't have stressed out as much about like what my future was going to be when I was 35, you know? Mm-hmm. So just like trusting more and just like relaxing into just like where I am right now.
Yes. You know, I'm fortunate to live in an area. I know you've been to my place before, but I have all of these fabulous older women, 60 plus, that live around me in this community who are just straight bosses. I love them. They bring this crazy energy of fierceness of like really not giving a fuck. I love it. But what's also interesting, the juxtaposition is they love being around me too. And I see them in a way, you know, I see them, you know, consider some of these things, you know, that they want to do for themselves that, you know, make their body feel better. And I mean, we can't help but to kind of think like, wow, we are going to be there one day. And, you know, it's not like a huge comfort feeling, right? When it comes to that.
Yeah.
But it is life.
It's life.
It is evolution. I think that we have to embrace that. I have people that I know that are turning 35 that are freaking out about turning 35. That are freaking out that them getting older at this point. But I think a lot of that has to do with the pressure of whether or not you're single or you're in a relationship or you're thinking about having kids. So I do think a lot of people really battle with this one. But again, the only way, honestly, that I really know how to combat the insecurities around this one is to love yourself.
Yes.
You have to find that level of self-love where you are recognizing that your body, your shape, everything is going to evolve. And hopefully you're doing the inner work to love yourself each version of the way.
Yes.
Which I think is
beautifully said.
Oh, thanks, girl.
Yes.
But that is really what it's all about.
It really is.
Your turn. Let's do it.
All right.
What you got?
Health concerns, anxiety about physical health and well-being.
Ugh. This one hits home for me. So this one in particular, I have ulcerative colitis, and I've been living with this disease since I was 16, and it happened when I got into a really bad car accident and it was activated. But I also had a very traumatic childhood when I was growing up, lots of trauma in my body, storing things. And so disease manifests from your stressors. And when I have what they call a flare-up, it is so mental. I can't even tell you this. I spiral really quickly when I start to feel symptoms of my disease. And it's so hard for me to bring myself out of a place. And, you know, of course there's tons of insecurities around this too. Like, it's not always rainbows and butterflies. Like if I'm dating somebody, and we're at a nice restaurant and I feel like my stomach is like going crazy, like these things bring up so much. And then again, when there's fear, it just perpetuates it. So I'm really trying to work on my health concerns. And I think that the main thing here is just letting my body relax. I tend to overdo and that's what most people's default mode is. Like when they have when your health is kicking in or you kind of feel cold, what's your number one instinct? Push through it, right?
Push through it. Yeah.
Not relax, not
relax.
like restore, drink water, just chill.
Yeah.
Right? We're like, well, let's see how far I can push through this until I hit a wall.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you battle with anything health-wise? Like, does this come up for you? I don't know. I feel, and again, I'm totally making assumptions here, but I feel like for the type of work that you also do and the level of consciousness that you have with your body, that you know how to heal it.
I think the biggest things that I struggle with are probably like mental health.
Okay.
Just like having a trash mindset sometimes. And like stepping out of it, and doing the right things to, whether it's meditation or journaling, to get myself out of an emotional funk or like, let's say, anger that I have. So I feel like it's like emotional and mental health that I definitely can at times struggle with.
And is there, for me, I know that I have like a reoccurring story that's like a lot of us, we have this big scary bear in the closet of something traumatic that we've been through that is, surfaces in different forms. Like, is there like a reoccurring thing that comes up, or was there like a particular situation? Like, tell me more about when you're like, I have this trash mindset. Cause I think a lot of us like battle with that.
Yeah. I think that, honestly, like once I opened my studio and like all the stressors that come from owning a business, having to, keep it going every single day. And then, you get feedback like in anything you do. And then you think, oh, wow, maybe I suck then, or just getting really like negative and down about yourself and taking things too seriously. So I feel like when I started my business, it was just like, I was so confident stepping in, like creating it. And then as the years went on, just kind of like my confidence kind of like chipped away. And so now I feel like I'm finally like building that confidence after so many years. It took a lot of years to come back to like where I am now, like confidence wise.
That's incredible. And I'm assuming that dance really helped you at that.
Dance really helped. And also learning different, like I've been studying Tony Robbins type of material.
Did you really recently go to one of his shows down here in South Florida?
Yeah, so I went to his Date with Destiny
Was it amazing?
Last month. It was amazing. Definitely very life-changing. And just I'm reading his book called Unlimited Power, and it's all about how do you change your state, your state of mind, how do you change your body state. And that's what that book is all about. And he says physiology is always first. So if you want to change something, it has to come like physically first. You'd also like change your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Yeah. Is it my go?
Your go.
Okay. Let's do it. I am interested in Tony Robbins stuff. You see him kind of rah-rah, but I know that his experiences are life-changing. That's why he's at the level that he's at.
Totally. He's definitely like a true, he's a master.
Yeah.
He's definitely a master. Yeah.
Ooh, this one is really interesting. Intellectual insecurity. So doubting one's intelligence or capabilities. This would come up a lot for me when I worked in corporate. Oftentimes I was the only female in the room. I was oftentimes the youngest one in the room. And I feel like as a woman and in the space that I was working in technology, that I constantly had to prove myself that I knew my shit, everything was dialed, and thank God I'm not doing anymore. I mark my words right now. It's a timestamp on this podcast that my business is going to be super successful, and I will not ever go work back in corporate. I will work albeit a different capacity, helping them grow their businesses and get their shit together. But I used to think about this all the time. I worked in logistics and operations, super complex, global shipping around the world. I also worked in healthcare technology. So they're very complex situations and solutions. And so I felt, and I was always in the room with people who are from Harvard and this and that and the other and got the degrees. And, depending on your situation, you can question like, okay, am I smart enough to be hanging out in this room? The answer, that's not really the question, but the question is really, what am I doing to bring myself to a level of intellectual stimulation that I'm passionate about, so I can surround myself in the room with those kind of people. So I think this is like a reframing that I've done many times throughout my career. And I've always wanted to lean on intellectual curiosity. You know, we even talked about this earlier, right? There's some podcasts that you can tune into that are talking about how terrible it is to do online dating. No disrespect. There's other kind of topics, but I'm interested in intellectual conversations.
Yes.
Do you ever think about anything like this when it comes to like doubting your intelligence or your capabilities or?
Yeah, that definitely resonates with me. I mean, all of growing up, school was like always very hard for me. I always had to work so hard to get like a B minus. And so I think that being in school for whatever years, you know, like 5 to 22, that it was always like a struggle. And so I think from that stems my like intellectual insecurity of thinking like, oh, am I smart enough to, let's say, I mean, to when I'm with, let's say, really smart people, I went to Harvard, I went here, I sometimes still feel even like, well, yeah, maybe I'm not smart enough, but it's like, I'm good at other things, you know?
Yes.
But yeah, no, because I'm dating different people in the Bay Area. And like, it's all those kind of guys.
Lovers.
All those different kind of people, you know? So they're all like really smart, you know? And so, yeah, but at the end of the day, it's like we all have our strengths, and like I might not be able to like memorize historical facts and like, or like be really good at science or math, but it's like I'm good at other things. So
yeah, we know you're good at twerking, girl. This so reminds me of when I was living in San Francisco. There was a moment when I was working in high growth tech, and then I quit my job and I bought a one-way ticket to Brazil. And I was like, I'm out of here. I'm going to Brazil. I am going to have a good time. And when I came back, I moved to San Francisco and I was interviewing at different tech companies at that time, corporate world stuff. But I decided to go full in on being a yoga teacher. And I moved into an ashram and I taught yoga there for 2 years. And I'll never forget that feeling walking around in San Francisco, of all places, and feeling this weird juxtaposition that people were judging me in a different way because I was a yoga teacher and not a executive at some high growth tech organization. Yeah. And so I really felt that. But that I was pursuing my passion at that time. My passion was to study yoga, breathwork, and meditation and my spirituality. So it's just interesting.
Yeah.
That the way this comes up through the process.
Definitely. And I think that, I feel like in the Bay Area, that's definitely the culture of like, that's what they value. Like, okay, if you're not doing this, then like,
right,
that's not that, like, who cares? But I feel like things are changing.
Okay, that's good to hear.
I feel like post-COVID, it's
good,
like.
Because it was getting a little rough around there.
Definitely. I remember one time being this was maybe 8 years ago. I was at a bar waiting in line to go to the bathroom. And this guy next to me was like, so what do you do? And
oh God, I love that question.
And at that point I was selling solar. I was like, I sell solar. And he was like, pfft. And I was just thinking like, wow, this guy first off is an idiot because like he's trying to like hit on me and he's like putting me down. He's insulting me.
Yeah, definitely insulting you.
That's his, So, and he worked at some tech company, whatever. Like,
whatever.
Yeah, whatever. so yeah, it's just, that definitely was the culture. I feel like in the Bay Area, like a decade ago for sure. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think that just now it's like people are getting more health conscious.
Yes.
It's like, I feel like after post-COVID, it's like everyone can see like they're concerned about their health. So what are they going to do about it? You know what I mean?
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, at least there's a new wave of consciousness that's coming. And
definitely.
Like, oh my gosh, I don't miss those guys, by the way.
Definitely
not just say like, guys are fabulous down here in South Florida. First they will hit me up. Yours or mine?
I think it's mine.
Let's do it. Okay, let's do one more each.
Okay.
Let's do it. What's it say?
Relationship insecurities, doubts about personal love life.
Oh God.
God.
Perfect topic for two single girls.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, here we go.
Relationship insecurity. Yeah, I mean, I definitely, starting off with me, I definitely have. I mean, if I'm insecure about something, it probably is, I feel like number one thing is being in a relationship. Last time I was in a relationship was like 3.5 years ago. And yeah, I think my thing is I have the fear of like getting bored.
Interesting.
With someone that I'm with. And it's like, I get my insecurity of like, will I ever find someone that like I'm actually really into that I'm gonna feel connected with over like a long period of time.
Right.
So that's a big like fear I have for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we're both like pretty much the same age, right? I'm 34. You're 35, right?
yeah.
So we're right. We're doing our thing. We have our businesses. We're out. We're thriving. We're traveling all over the world. But yeah, sometimes when things get quiet, and I'm super busy. I know you're super busy too, just building your empire, doing everything that you want to do. But there are moments when things get quiet where you're like, oh, it would be so nice to be able to vibe with somebody that is on this same level. But I think the other thing that you also have to realize too, especially for all the entrepreneurs who are watching this, is that you are on a different level. And you have to realize that the path that you are going down is one that is less traveled. And so the people that you are going to find that are on your level, they're not going to be everywhere, because listen, a lot of people are followers. A lot of people are playing it safe. And we are not doing that. We talked about this earlier, but we are being brave with our life. And we hope to inspire more people to be brave with their life through this process. But yes, relationships, one is interesting. I have just basically put, love and relationships and all of that. I don't want to say it's in the parking lot, because you never want to put that in the parking lot because it's super important. But I'll tell you what I won't do anymore. What? That is, well, there's like a laundry list. But I won't do crazy. I won't do guys that have addictions. I will not do people who are not healthy. I will not do people who are dramatic and don't know how to break themselves away from their friends or their cycles, and they think that they just have to stay in the hamster wheel, even though they want and desire a completely different life. If you can't fucking do it and find your way, how are you going to have the strength to be a good partner for me if you don't know how to take care of yourself? So these things are really important to me. God is really important to me. Having faith, right? We both know that life is not getting any easier. Okay, but we do have a calling to hopefully get stronger and wiser and healthier, as things evolve over time. So for me, I could go on a tangent about this one, because I'm definitely, obviously, like any person, so open to love, so open to great partnership. But I think as an entrepreneur, especially when I changed the profile of going from 9-to-5 corporate world to entrepreneur, the profile for the person completely changed overnight. It's interesting the way that happened, right? Like, no offense, but the clocking in, the clocking out, it's like I'm doing something so much bigger that sometimes I feel like I can't relate.
Yeah, definitely. It's a different mindset, for sure.
It is, right?
Yeah, I think that I feel like when I've dated guys that are more entrepreneurial, it's more kind of like visionary, like possibility-minded thinking. But sometimes with like
calling all artists, visionaries, entrepreneurs.
Yeah, and like more of, excuse me, that like 9-to-5 kind of mentality. It's sometimes more of like a limited one, And it's like, I don't want to be with someone who's going to be like envisioning our future together as being limited, or like, oh, we can't do this because of this, and like, fuck no.
The possibilities are really important.
That's what it is.
And the passions are really attractive.
Yeah, the passion's hot.
So dig into the passion.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll pull one more. Let's see what this one says. Okay. Ooh, okay. This is a good one. This is we could probably do an entire episode on this one, so we won't go too crazy. But imposter syndrome. So feeling like a fraud or not deserving one's achievements. I would say that this used to be something that I would have a lot of issues with, but right now I am like full in my queen era of everything that I'm going to do. And like, I'm really feeling unstoppable at this point. But imposter syndrome really kicks in when we are starting something new. I think that anybody who's maybe even doing dance for the first time, right? They're like, I'm not a dancer. I can't move my body like that.
Yeah.
Like you feel like a fraud, right? Or
yeah.
Maybe when you showed up in Jamaica and you're like, I'm going to try this for the first time. Like, we have this feeling of insecurity that like, even culturally, like, am I in the right place?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've definitely felt like that. I definitely felt like I'm a white girl, this is like not my culture. Like maybe I shouldn't be here.
Interesting.
I don't want to upset anyone.
Right.
And yeah, I definitely felt that. And yeah. And like, I definitely still at times feel like that with dance, or like, okay, but it's like my heart calling to dance is so strong.
Yes.
That's why it's like, no matter what anyone says or whatever people in the future don't like me dancing the way I am, like I don't give a fuck.
Yes.
I don't
that's
care.
Right. That
I
is
don't
a
care.
perfect segue
Yeah.
into why we're doing this podcast. And I'm so happy that you came on this podcast to share your story and share your journey. It's so inspiring. I know that I'm feeling super pumped up to go and move my body, try different things to really shake things up, to overcome these insecurities, because insecurities at the end of the day will always slow us down from who we truly are, and worrying about everything and other people and judging ourselves and shame. The idea is to minimize all of that so we can be in our full expression.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, Elisa, I love you so much. Thank you so much for coming on the show. If you want to follow her on Instagram, we're going to drop it in the comments so you can follow her, Elisa the Angel. Thank you so much, FDI community. We'll be back soon with another episode. Peace and love.